All right, guys. So this is Ryan.
And this is Alan.
And we are from the No Nonsense podcast.
That's right.
All right. So this is something that I kind of want to try out for a little bit, and hopefully it's very successful. I want to begin this podcast and possibly other podcasts with a positive affirmation.
Yeah.
I believe that it's extremely important. I mean, with recent events, we've had, what was the Traveler, Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that was awful.
Kate Spade.
Yeah.
And so many other people taking their own lives. And
that's heart-wrenching.
It seems like the numbers of shootings in schools have just gone up. Mm-hmm. And these poor, unfortunate kids who are just like committing suicide because of the stressors that are going on in our society. I think that mental health is making a positive appearance in our society, the need for it rather, because so many things are going on. We have political stress. There's now such a thing as political stress. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get into that today.
That's a segment in itself.
Oh my God. But yeah, so without further ado, my positive affirmation is, and I encourage you guys to do this as well, it is, I am more than enough.
Absolutely. Yes.
I say that because we have the Black Lives Matter movement, which is so powerful and so positive, but then we have so many people who take offense to it. And that's extremely saddening to me.
I've seen the same thing with the Me Too movement, that people are starting to take offense by it. And it's not meant to be offensive.
Exactly. It's not meant to make more victims, and it's not meant to villainize people who honestly don't know the difference between what's acceptable and what isn't acceptable in communications. Right. But these social movements are very important. And I feel as though it's very important for people to kind of step back and reevaluate yourself. Me being a psych nerd, I can like get on my soapbox and talk about this all day, but bottom line, positive affirmation. I really encourage you guys to just take a moment, and as cornflaky and granola and crunchy as this sounds, just seriously get into yourself. Don't get over yourself. Just really reflect on yourself and appreciate who you are.
And don't feel bad for it.
For it. I mean, social media, right? There is now this thing, I forgot the term, but so once upon a time people would go to plastic surgeons, right?
Yeah.
It's been that way since the 70s, really. And they would bring pictures of celebrities, like magazine covers or an article or something, say, make me look like this person. But now there's this trend where young people are going to the doctor's offices with filtered and Photoshop versions of themselves and saying, make me look like this. The problem with that is when you Photoshop yourself, you can make yourself look super unrealistic.
Right.
You can
like
make
a Barbie or
exactly. You can make yourself look like a Barbie. You want a 2-inch waist? You got a 2-inch waist. Right. You want to have a snatch back, face? You got it, right? You want to have legs for days? You can have. And so now they're taking these filtered, distorted versions of themselves and bringing it to the doctor's office and saying, I want to look like this.
So aren't the doctors at a certain point just telling these people that are coming in, this is not realistic. This is not something that if I were to do this, it would last long term. Are they telling them this, or are the doctors just saying, give me your money, I'm going to make you look like that Barbie or, that artificial you?
Well, that's the thing. So because it's such a new phenomenon, extensive research has not been done on it. Yeah. They're just noticing an increase in this ridiculously unhealthy action that young people are doing. And it's terrifying. I mean, having a daughter I mean, I tried to raise her to be, you know, and you encourage her as well. Right. Hey, listen, you're beautiful, you're strong, but we can only do so much. Once she's released out in society,
it's hard.
That's it, man.
It's hard. I mean, just a shampoo commercial. She sees the girls in the shampoo commercial, and she's like, well, they're so skinny, and, you know, and we don't have a fat daughter. She's a normal 8-year-old girl. You know. Super
strong.
Yeah.
Super strong, super energetic, very healthy, right? But the thing is society has such a strong impact on us. I mean, so here's the thing. Social media is like evil, but then it's also positive, right?
Right.
I have a newfound respect for social media. And I will say that because even in starting this podcast, Alan, boy, like, okay, listen, I don't know where I was, but past 6 years made a light year of difference because I had my little nose in my books, right?
Right.
As an undergrad and as a graduate student, right?
Yep, I'm there with you.
And I just use social media just to communicate with my family.
Right.
That's on the other side of the country.
Yeah. If
right?
you were to look at my Facebook, you'd think it's just all family.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And so we, you know, that's how things were going with social media.
Right.
Okay. So then just 6 years later, I had the pleasure of being around college students, right? And being their instructor, being the instructor assistant, and just hearing the conversations, Snapchat. I was like, I heard of Snapchat, but Snapchat made a comeback. Like, they made this, you know, and these students were saying, like, yeah, I don't do Facebook anymore.
Well, the first time I heard of Snapchat was in a negative context on the news about some kind of quick sexting, I think, or, you know, something like that, where they were doing quick nude photos and then they would go away, and that's what I heard of Snapchat. Yeah,
right.
But,
I mean, so the whole premise of it was that, you know, you can do your dirt on Snapchat, post something, and then it'll be erased, so no one can keep it, right? Genius kids, right? Right. Because, you can't snapshot something. You can't do a quick screenshot, right? You can't take another device and record it, right? I mean, like, I literally have a program on my phone that allows me to download a video from YouTube.
Right.
So if I were some skeevy person and someone put a video out there, which I'm not, please don't take that out of context.
You love the disclosure?
Yes. If I were some PV person, right, and somebody was out there doing something dirty, dude, I could just literally download it onto my computer or onto my phone. They would be none the wiser, and I could have receipts on them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Bring that out, you know, whenever the time calls for it.
Yeah.
But back to my appreciation of social media. So, like, I had Instagram, but I had it on a personal level.
Right.
So, you know, I would post pictures like, hey, I'm into pickling now. I made some artisan pickles.
They're really good, by the way.
They are.
I helped, I washed the pickles today. So, and then I kind of watched her make them. But
he's not a cooker at all.
I'll clean. I'll do laundry. I'll do all that. I'll do yard work.
And I am eternally grateful for that.
You need me to get on a roof and shingle or something, I got you.
Yeah, you will do the dirty work for me. You will do that because Ryan don't do that.
You need scorpions taken care of or whatever.
Yes.
Anyways, that's another episode. I'm known as the Scorpion King in the house.
Listen, scorpion, spider, bug, anything. Alan, get this thing. So anyways, my appreciation for social media, you know, I had a personal account, right? And I would just post pictures, and I had a small circle, you know, maybe 100 friends or whatever, people that I grew up with and family and stuff. But, and trying to get this podcast out. I'm trying to get out of my circle. The reason you and I have lasted for so many years is because we hold our relationship very near and dear to our hearts. We don't invite other people's opinions into our relationship, and we're private. So I said, hey, let's put our podcast out there. Just create social media pages and actually build some interpersonal relationships with people.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. In that, you guys, this is blowing my mind. The instant gratification with Instagram is crazy. You post a picture and immediately someone over in France is like, hey, I love mountains too. That's awesome. Right? And I know this sounds like I'm just so old or what have you, but this is changing the game of marketing.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Do you remember when you wanted to start a business, you had to physically network? Like, you had to go to mixers.
Yeah, or newspaper. Remember when people had to put in ads in the newspaper to
what happened to newspapers?
Well, they're still around, but now they're at the bottom of my trash can.
Now they're mainly online. They've transitioned. They're with the times now, man. Yeah. I remember growing up in Chicago, the Chicago Sun-Times.
Oh, yeah.
Used to be the paper. Like, if you were South Side, it was Chicago Sun-Times. If you were North Side, it was Chicago Tribune. But that's
wait, why'd you say it like that?
Because I'm South Side, if you can tell. So, and I wear that like a badge. But anywho, yeah, they've transitioned online, and I'm telling you, if you wanted to get your business out there, it was put an ad out there. And there were different sizes. And if you are like 18, 19 years old, you about to learn today. You about to have a history lesson. Newspapers, my friends, were the stuff. If you wanted to know movie times, you get your newspaper.
Yeah.
If you wanted to find out, what movies are coming out, you wanted to find a job, you get a newspaper.
Remember the weekly TV guides you had to go and buy in the stores?
If you wanted to see when your show came on, you got a weekly TV news guide. Like, that was our cell phones, okay? And it just boggles my mind how we're not old. We're not old. That
not
was
at all.
Just a few years ago.
I think things are moving so fast. We showed our daughter a rotary phone. Remember that?
Yes.
And then there used to be a time where there were, I think we're part of the last generation that grew up with no cell phones. Yeah. We know how to live without them. But, I love it, but, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have the internet. It was, but it wasn't like it is today. So, like, when we went outside and we played, and you just knew when it was time to come home.
Sun up, sun down.
Yeah, or street lights
came on.
Exactly.
Get your butt in the house.
Me, coming from upstate New York, it was as soon as the sun starts going down, you need to hustle because you may not get out of those woods.
Oh my gosh. So, no, I wasn't, okay, so now, I didn't grow up in the country, so I'm a city girl, right?
Yeah.
And so it was like you played and you played and you played, and my parents, because I was a city girl, they were like, hey, check in.
Yeah.
Right? So, 3 hours, check in, eat something real quick, all right, get out the house, right? So you're still alive? Good. But, yeah, no, newspapers were the bane of our existence. And so now we have social media.
Yeah.
Everything is instant. Facebook, amazing. Now, I will say I'm learning some things. This new era is teaching me some things. It's really funny because our generation really spearheaded this social media boom. It's our generation, the millennials, who have done this, right? But we have these younger people who were born after 2000. Oi.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? It's 2018. Jesus Christ. If you were born in 2000, you are 18 years old.
Yeah. Jeez.
Wow, I remember what I was doing in 2000. This, neither here nor there. Yeah, it's like our generation really spearheaded this, and this new generation has come in and really just perceived this whole social media thing as another modality, I suppose. I think when our generation created this, we intended to be able to communicate with other people,
Right.
no matter the distance. Long distance relationships are now more tolerable, right? Because you can FaceTime.
Yeah, back in the day, you used to have to physically write a letter, put a picture of yourself, maybe a Polaroid.
Yeah,
You remember
Polaroids? Yeah,
you have to put that in the thing and ship it off, and then in a couple weeks, if your girlfriend or boyfriend was overseas, they would get it, and then they would. Yeah, that was, and then emails started coming in, and
right.
you could,
Remember pen pals?
Pictures. Yeah, and they still have them, but now it's emails. Email pen pals.
What's the fun in that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anywho, it's just like, yeah, so it's a completely different modality now. And so we intended it to make life a little bit better. So if your mom, your dad have, a mom and pop shop, and, they want you to take over the business. Well, now, hey, mom, hey, dad, we can expand your audience with social media. We can make pictures because now we support local, right? So it was kind of like, hey, let's take social media and put an organic spin to it to where we can be more green. Yeah, it's technology, but we can be more green, and we can reach out to our local coffee shop. We can reach out to our local mom and pop shop. Fast forward to this generation. Now, we always say that the children are the future.
And they are.
And they are. But I'm looking at my phone and I see Kiki Challenge.
So here's the thing, right? So I'm still a little behind on the challenges. I don't personally do them, but I do see them. My daughter gets
it's entertaining.
Remember, there was a planking challenge. I didn't...
Remember the Batman challenge?
Yes. Now, I don't mind, with the planking, I kind of cared that your butts and your, privates are on the conveyor belt at the store. I kind of care about that, but at least they were being safe. But what I'm seeing is some of the challenges getting a little dangerous. A
little bit, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so Kiki Challenge, if for those of you who have not seen it, it has made such an impact this summer. It is when somebody rides in a car. I feel like so old explaining this. Okay, somebody's driving the car and they might hop out and ghost ride it, or they might have a passenger steer the car.
To make it look like they're ghost riding.
Right, and throw it in neutral or something. But the whole premise is that someone hops out of the car and they dance to Drake's In My Feelings.
Right.
And the first part of it is addressed to a girl named Kiki. And so it's just Google it, Keke challenge or Kiki challenge.
If you haven't already. Otherwise,
if you haven't already
seen them.
So that's the Kiki challenge. And then they have, here's one that is hilarious to me, Zoom challenge.
What's that?
Boy, I don't know who sings this song. But this song, okay, so it's like someone sits on the ground and they're acting like they're driving.
No, yes, I've seen that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm with you.
So they're acting like they're driving. And then there's this one part in the song where it goes zoom. Yeah. And at that point, somebody just snatches the heck out of them, grabs their ankles and pulls. It's hilarious to me. Hopefully it's done in a safe way.
Now, I saw, speaking of which, I did see one, and the kid hit his head pretty hard being pulled. So I don't know. No, I mean, our heads are kind of important.
Kind of.
So you got to be careful when doing this challenge.
Yes. So these challenges, I mean, okay. Now, is that a bad thing? The way social media is now being used, Is that a bad thing?
I don't think so. I think that we need to be able to express ourselves, and I think that the challenges are ways for humans to connect with other humans so that they feel like they're part of something. We all strive to be part of something.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what the challenges are. And so, but we do see a lot of times tragic endings to some of them.
Yeah.
You know, you were telling me just off air that there was, they were trying to, there were some travelers.
Yes. So this group, if you Google them, you can go to YouTube. They're very prevalent on YouTube. They are a group called High on Life. And it's very unfortunate because they are a group of young people, early 20s, late 20s, early 30s, something like that. And what they do is they make these incredible videos of their travels. These are the people that walk on top of these skyscrapers.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, those people that you look at it and you're like, what the heck are you doing, right? They walk on these scaffolds. They walk on top of, these towers where humans are not designed to be. I'm just going to say that. It's very unfortunate. But anywho, 3 of them, I think they are currently stationed in Canada because they are nomads, the group. And so they live in Canada, and 3 of them, it was a girlfriend, her boyfriend, and their friend. All 3 of them are in the High on Life group. They go to one of the waterfalls, and waterfalls are God's creation.
Right.
They are meant to move water and forcibly.
Water is one of the most powerful things out there.
Oh gosh, yeah, you have to respect it, right? So in order to get a really good shot, the female got, up there and she slipped and fell. And so her boyfriend jumped out to save her.
Right.
And when he, that came to no avail, his friend or their friend, their mutual friend, jumped in and tried to save the both of them.
Right.
And sadly, nobody made it. And their bodies, I believe, were airlifted out the next day.
Which says something. The fact that the rescuers couldn't just drag them out. They had to airlift them out of this location. So, all, lightheartedness aside, when you're doing these challenges, you just have to be safe. You have to make sure you're being smart with what you're doing.
Absolutely. I feel as though, and that's a very sad thing. It really is. But, if you guys, I think their group still is in existence. So I think it would be worth it if you guys were to just go ahead and Google them and reach out and, give your condolences or at least give their videos some likes because, they do, this is a group that does the, what was it, like those funny social experiments where the rich guy gold digger experiment.
Oh, is that the one where they they'll have the cars, like the guy will look like a bum and then approach a girl.
They do a version of that.
And then the car Lambo pulls up and he gets in, or his driver comes out and hands him the keys or
something like that. They're a little more mild though. They're not as jerkish with it.
Yeah, I don't like the jerks. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
It's not cool. Yeah. They do have this one social the abusive girlfriend experiment. They have that,
what is that?
Where it's kind of like, okay, the premise is that we all say that every life matters and that you should respect everyone equally. Women want to be treated equally, right? That's the definition of feminism. And so the idea is that when a man beats a woman, totally wrong.
Right.
Do not do that, right? People are more inclined to step in and help the female if in public, especially in America, because that's just our culture, right? As opposed to a woman being verbally abusive to a guy. So they would have the girlfriend be verbally abusive and or physically abusive to the guy.
Gotcha.
And so see what happens. And of course, the response was not as powerful.
Well, that's kind of, as a society, what we kind of are a society of double standards.
Yeah,
really.
we are.
And so I mean, it is one of those things where it's what's convenient to you. Then it's, you know what I mean? So, I am all for people being treated equal. I really am. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to see a woman beat on her man, and I wouldn't want to see the vice versa. No matter their strength levels, you know, like all couples play fight, right? You let your wife tackle you, or you know,
or maybe that's just us.
Oh, okay,
like,
well, I get
like come home, and I'm like, I tackle you out of nowhere.
Yeah. So a normal day for me is after I get home from work, I'm usually accosted by my two girls. So someone's either jumping on my back and climbing up, and someone's either punching me in the stomach, which, granted, my wife, she don't punch me. It's usually the 8-year-old getting me good. But it's what I strive for. Actually, I love it. I love, because it's in good humor. It's because they love me.
That sounds so bad. That sounds
you
so
like that?
Bad.
They beat me because they love me, guys.
He only loves me.
But,
she only hits me because she loves me. Trust me.
We absolutely are not condoning any kind of real domestic abuse. And if you are in that situation, please get out of it. Get help. But when you're with people you love, and you know, it's just my personality. I don't mind it. But I do think that there's
because at the end of the day, I know if something went down, you can protect both of us at the drop of a dime.
That's what I'm designed for.
So I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like you don't throw something at somebody that they can't handle, right?
Right.
So it's like, I mean, us hitting you is just like when you see a lion laying there and you see like a little cub just like biting the scruff out of their dad's mane. That's what it's like.
So I love lions. I do. I don't like how the male lions just don't do a whole lot.
Listen, man, that's their that's their thing.
Oh man, it's so disappointing because I want to, you know, I'm like I want to be a lion, but then I see how the lions just sort of lay around and the female lions do all the hunting, which is absolutely not okay.
Man, just be a panther or something.
Right? I should.
They're so cool looking.
Or I should be like an innovative like male lion who totally like in my pride they have health insurance.
Right,
they have dental.
Yeah.
I do the hunting, and if they want to join me, great. But I do just as much as the female lions. I think that's a pretty good pride right there.
There you go.
I think I would have a good leadership quality as a lion.
There you go.
Yeah. That's
pretty cool. But it's just like this social media thing, I'm saddened by how it's been used by this new generation. But I'm also like, I respect them. Mm-hmm. I truly do.
Right.
Because it takes a strong individual to not be impacted in a negative way. Do you know what I mean? Like, to always constantly be, you know, striving for a certain number of likes, you know, a certain number of this, a certain number of that. Me, on the other hand, I feel horrible if someone follows us and I'm not able to follow them back. Like, right.
There should be a personal connection.
Yeah, like, or maybe that's just the empathy in me or the psych head in me. I don't know. But I kind of feel like, you know, if someone took the time out to just follow me, follow my, you know, podcast, then it's worth connecting with them and actually finding out who they are, because we want to talk about the things that matter to them.
Right. And as you all listen to us more and more, what you're going to see is we're more about the quality than the quantity. Mm-hmm. And so we would never want artificial followers. Right. And I'd much rather have only 500 really good followers than 10,000 fake followers that really aren't making a difference in the world.
Right. And it's not like a snobbish approach or anything like that, but it's I mean, this is what this is. A podcast is essentially communication. And I don't want to just be talking to a black wall, right? Or a black hole. I want to actually engage with whomever is listening. If someone has an opinion, and I'm going to say some things. Like, here's the thing. Side note, let me go off on this tangent for a little bit. Prior to starting this podcast, we were talking about this podcast a couple years. It's been a couple years in the making.
Yeah. I want to say that. About a year and a half, 2 years, something like that.
Yeah. And the reason we did not jump into it is somebody has a potty mouth. One of us talks like a sailor.
And I'm not going to tell you who. What I will tell you...
We just hope it doesn't slip out.
Yeah, what I will tell you is it is not this saint of a man. I'm just going to tell you that right now. It is not I, said the cat.
And you'd be right. So I was like,
Our daughters come to me and said, don't worry, Dad. I've heard that word before. And I'm like, oh, excuse me. Who's saying that at school? Who do I need to go talk to? And she's like, no, Mom said it in the car.
Road rage is something else.
Arizona's hot. I'm sorry, but when you're in Arizona, it's 115 degrees out. And
that AC ain't doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You think it does, but it don't.
Right. So, I will say some things, and I don't expect you guys to always agree. I want you guys to be individuals.
Right.
And I want to be as authentic as possible, but please know that it's always my intent to be respectful of others. So if something really rubs you the wrong way, I'm going to be mindful and be like, maybe I shouldn't say that, because we're all human. And I think we're at this point right now where there's a term called fake news and fake media. And I mean, media is media. And if you don't have the ability to research something that you're touting, please be responsible of what you say. Right. And so we both just want to be responsible in everything that we say, everything that we do, because we know that it holds weight.
You guys deserve to be respected. And if we do say something that gets on you, DM us. Send us a personal message, because
that gets the conversation going.
And we'll respond to you directly. We won't ignore you. And who knows? Maybe we're not being as sensitive as we intended, and that's on us. And if so, we'll fix it.
Exactly. Yeah. And and it's not just related to this podcast, but just as a whole. I think the biggest takeaway from this is just being socially responsible. Yeah. Right? Because as much as people, I know I'm about to sound granola and crunchy again, we form our world with our words.
Right. Yeah, we do.
And since we were kids, we say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But they do.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely do. And people, I think, have taken for granted our mental health.
Absolutely.
And what little words, like, it's true. For years, there's been a lot of verbal abuse that people have had to endure. And we're seeing spikes in suicide rates and, especially where I work. I work for the medical examiner's office, and you see that, and it's so heart-wrenching. But it's true. There's something to be said about this mental health issue that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. And so just be mindful. As we wrap up this podcast, I just want to leave with this. Let's all just be mindful of our words, because we frame our worlds with it. People listen to us. People listen to you in a day-to-day basis. When you go to the store, it costs nothing to smile at someone. When someone holds the door for you, please say thank you.
Maybe even touch the door. How about that? you know?
Okay, so that's a pet peeve of his, and that's another episode.
Yeah, we'll get into that another time.
At least touch the door, Jan.
Give me an acknowledgement. Don't walk across the parking lot after I've stopped for you and not even look over.
Right, because he's not personal. He's not being personal at all, right?
All right, I'm on a rant. Back to you.
Just be mindful of your words because they actually matter and they can make a difference. We live in a society right now where we are thirsty for positivity. We're thirsty for people being authentic. That is the only reason Trump is in office, because people thought him being the way he is authentic.
Right.
That is another episode. But just please be mindful, be respectful, watch those words.
Be good to people, because that's all we really have is each other.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so positive, so sweet. All right, you guys, thank you so much for listening.
Yes.
If you are listening right now, please do not hesitate to subscribe. Download us. We are anticipating a weekly podcast.
We would like to do weekly right now, yeah, and so I think that's fair. We don't want to just pump stuff out at you guys, because then it becomes generic and it becomes fake. We want enough content to be real with y'all. I think every week is probably a good one. Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, we'll see where it goes. We are mindful of your time, and we appreciate you taking the time out to download us, because we know there's over 250,000.
Oh yeah, there's
like tons of podcasts, and we're going up against some heavy hitters. Oprah has a podcast.
Love her.
Joe Rogan has a podcast.
I don't know much.
Yeah, his is actually leading the industry on it.
That's cool. That's cool. I know he is.
He's joking. Pretty cool.
And Joe, if you hear this, hey, follow me, bro.
Right. So yes. Oh, that's another thing. Guys, follow us everywhere. We are on Facebook right now.
Right.
We are on Twitter right now. We are on Instagram, and we will be up on Snapchat maybe?
Right.
Possibly. And the website will be out soon. Yay!
We are working on it.
So follow us. It is NEAUX Nonsense. That's no nonsense. And we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Have a great night. Thank you for listening.
Mwah.